What is up, guys? My name is Matt, working for Cinematography Database, and in this episode we're going to be making a little town like this using the new scans from Set Designer. So here we are in Cinema 4D, and I have a growing database of scans. I actually have a lot more, but just haven't loaded them all in. I'll link to the scans that we're going to use today in the description below. So we're going to start by double-clicking and bringing in the school. So I'll close this, and you'll see that it's kind of large, and you'll see that it also looks like absolute trash in the viewport, but that's because we're using Redshift. And not that Redshift is bad, it's just that it doesn't look good in the viewport. But when we render, I promise this is going to look real nice. So here's our person. I always bring him in, him or her I suppose, for scale. And this stuff should all be coming in at scale. So here's our school, and it's going to be our base object. This is our main structure that we're going to use over and over again. So we typically want to get things off of the origin. As much as I don't want to have to move this house, I'm going to have to. So let's start by moving it to about, I'd say here. We're going to move it back off of that. The axes are kind of messed up here. That's my fault. But if you go over to here and you click this thing, and then you zero this out, 0, 0, 0. I'm zeroing out the rotation. Then you click it again. Now the orientation's a little bit more zeroed out. You don't have to do that, but it might be kind of useful. So next, let's go and get our sidewalk. So this is just a very, very simple scan of one concrete tile or a piece of a sidewalk here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this the sidewalk over there, and we're going to slide this like this. I'm going to delete our person for now. And we're going to take our sidewalk, and which way is it? I think it's kind of hard to tell because of the bad resolution, but I'm pretty sure it's like this. So we're going to spin it like this. And am I going to bring this? I think I'm going to bring the school down. I think that makes more sense because we try to keep things kind of on the ground here. So let's back this up a little bit, and I'm going to try to bring it to about here. Okay, so we're trying to stay on the ground at 0. And while this doesn't look like it's going to go together, right? It's like, oh, it's so messy, but I promise you, with the scans, because there's so much realism captured with each scan, that these little transitions here, you can be really messy and it doesn't matter in the final render. You really won't know at all. Okay, so that is the beginning. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to bring this over to this corner here like this. And we're going to basically build a little sidewalk all around this little plot of grass here. And to do that, I'm going to go to instance, and this creates an instance of it, which is like a lightweight copy, basically. It's a lot more lightweight on the system. So we're just going to start dragging these out. I guess I'm going to show the whole thing, so this is going to be kind of one of those tutorials, kind of long. But I'm basically holding control and just dragging across, and yeah, just kind of loosely put them in here. And this is kind of my new methodology for building scenes that are realistic, is to use all photogrammetry and to basically be a lot rougher with this stuff lining up. Like for a video game, which is the way I used to design this stuff, everything kind of needs to be perfect, or else there are these seams in the set and it looks kind of funny. But I almost think for photogrammetry reason, like when you're using photogrammetry, that it's actually a little bit better to have a little bit of imperfection in it. Like this transition here isn't perfect. That's fine. It's completely fine, and I'll show you in the final render here. And again, in the viewport, this stuff looks a little bit like crap, but that's because Redshift right now doesn't allow you to change the resolution of the texture. But anyway, there we have this piece, and I'm going to take another one of these, make sure it's an actual instance and not the original one. And I'm going to hold control again, and I'm going to rotate this into place. And you'll see here that I'm just using the same tile over and over again. And yeah, if you look at it closely, it's going to be really repetitive. But you'll see as we render out normal Cine Designer shots, at least, I'm going to go back to the top here, you won't know. And perhaps in the future, I'm going to, let me make sure this is the right, yeah, it is, okay. In the future, I'll scan a little bit more. I'll scan maybe 4 or 5 blocks at a time, and either separate them so you have some variation, or just, you'll be repeating a bigger chunk of sidewalk. But this is the process and the general methodology for Cine Design that I'm going to be moving forward with for quite a while. So I've been scanning like crazy with LiDAR and photogrammetry. If you've been following the main YouTube channel or the Instagram channel, I would definitely follow the Instagram channel if you're not. That's where I post my stuff almost daily, a lot of the experimental stuff. And working with scans is just so nice. You don't have to 3D model anything. I didn't 3D model this stuff. I literally just scanned it. And there's a kind of, involved workflow to get it into like a usable state. But once you put your designs together like this, it's incredible. This is like working with the real world. It's like these are just chunks of the real world. But anyway, we have created our sidewalk here, and pretty nicely. And that's going to render really, when this renders, it's going to look very realistic as far as the colors and as far as the shape, because it's from the real world, and that's the lovely part. So just to convince you here, just in case you quit this tutorial because it looks like absolute crap right now, I'm going to just put this in here, and I'm going to render it just so that you see that it actually looks okay. Though you saw the intro, so you should believe it, but just to make sure that you believe me here, let's go to this layout I have saved here. This is my favorite layout for Redshift. For a single monitor, I now have two, but I will show you how to use one monitor, I think, efficiently. So we're going to just go up to here, and we're going to take a dome light. And I'm not going to explain that right now. It's just basically a big white circle, a sphere around everything. And we're loading up Redshift. I haven't done my Redshift tutorial series, but I will soon. And then there. Look how lovely this looks in the render view, right? All these textures get all cleaned up. As you zoom in, yeah, there's a little bit of space between the sidewalks. But we can go back and either clean that up by moving them like closer together like this, which I should probably go do, or you can put a solid under it and it really doesn't matter. So for this case, I would recommend going back and making sure you did a better job of spacing them like this, like make sure that there's a little bit of overlap in the models like that, or else you get big spaces like I just showed there. So I'd start from the corner again and just kind of make sure there aren't spaces, and having the dome actually helps figure that out, the dome light. Like I said, I am going to do the Redshift tutorial series. I have my workflows that I'd like to share with everybody who is new to it and has no idea what to do. I will show you, and it will be glorious, because look how fast this is rendering on the right screen. It is insanely fast. So that wasn't too bad to clean up the spaces. How badly did I do here? Pretty bad. So definitely go make sure you have no spaces between your sidewalk. And next time I'm going to scan a bigger piece of sidewalk so that we don't have to move as many around. And you could also do things like rotate the panels and stuff like that, but again, in this case, I don't think it's that big a deal. And so this is, again, our new workflow for designing this stuff. I tried to do this like old school game style by 3D modeling it and using Substance Painter, but this is just a hell of a lot better. So what we're going to do now is make a little road. So there's a couple ways of doing this. I'm not saying this is the best way, but we're going to make a plane here. And I am going to make it like this. I'm going to try to recreate the render I made fairly closely. So something like this. All right, and I'm only going to use this piece here. Something like here. Yeah, something like that is pretty close. And I'm going to then hit, I want to move it over again. I'm going to hit C. So this is a little bit of 3D modeling, and I try to not have to force anyone to 3D model things, but we're going to go into vertices here, and I'm going to hit, I guess I could just click this up here, and I'm just going to select the parts I don't want, which is this. So hopefully that makes sense. Then we're just going to hit delete. That's all we did. Okay, and I'm just going to, I'm going to give it a little bit more overlap with the sidewalk, so I'm going to pull it in there. And then here I'm just going to pull it in there. Hopefully that's not too complicated. I don't do a lot of 3D modeling on this channel, but being able to cut up a plane like that, that's infinitely useful here. So here's our road. I guess I'll call it road up here. And let's hit B for your content browser. At least I have it bound to that. And show tree. And I have some SD materials here. I need to make so many more, but I have a new way of making them, and they're much better. So go get Asphalt 2. That's on Set Designer, or use, you know, whatever asphalt texture you have. But if you're a Set Designer user, I very much recommend this. It's going to be way too big, right? You're going to click on the tag up there, and you're going to switch from UV mapping to cubic, almost always. And for me, I'm going to switch this to, well, I'll zoom in to show you what this does here. So you'll see that I think in the render, actually it doesn't look too bad in the render. It doesn't look bad at all. I'll just show you here really quickly that if you change this to 50 and this to 50, these are a lot smaller. And that's how they were designed to be, is that scale. So You can do that or you can not. It's up to you. It's really by eye. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to sneak in here and be like, okay, so there's a little bit of a gap here, and I'm just going to bring this up till there's pretty much no gap. And what I haven't done yet is I haven't scanned any curbs, so I need to go scan some curbs so that it's not like, pavement sidewalk, pavement road. It needs to be pavement curb road. I just don't have any curbs right now. We have a little bit of space issues between here, so you want to kind of deal with that. Or not. It really doesn't matter, in my opinion. I wouldn't get too crazy on it. But there, we have the beginning to a nice little neighborhood here. And what I'm going to show you here is that I'm just going to select a bunch of these curbs. I'm sorry, a bunch of these sidewalks like these ones. And they're all instances. This is all very light on the system. I'm just going to hold Control again. And voila, we have another sidewalk. And I'm going to do that one more time like this. I'm actually going to undo that. I'm going to move this one down. And then hold Control again. And just like Photoshop, we're just like copy and pasting the same thing over and over again, except it's three-dimensional. So this is like three-dimensional Photoshop here. So we've quickly built this part of a road here. And you just keep going, essentially. And one trick here that is probably kind of obvious, but it's if you only have one scan of a house like I have now, I don't have too many other scans available yet. I'm going to go make a lot more. You just instance the same scan. It's a little bit tough on the renderer, so let it catch up. It's preparing. There we go. My computer's pretty fast. So all I'm going to do here is move this across the street, and I'm going to flip it 180. 180. And we now have another house across the street. And it's the same house, so, if you... In certain shots, that might look a little bit odd, but in a lot of cases, you won't notice it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to instance this house all over the place. And you can do weird things like this if you wanted. And you're just essentially, collaging it if you're coming from a 2D world. Or if you're already working in 3D, this is called kit bashing, right? So you have your little kit here, all this stuff, and you're just kind of like moving it around. And as you come down to ground level, you'll see that this starts to, like down here, you'll see that this already starts to feel like a real set, right? Or a real world. So we'll just make another one. And depending on your system, this might start to get kind of heavy. I did optimize a lot of these to be very, very lightweight, even the house. And this is what I've been doing lately. I just take the same asset and I just start like putting it into the scene in different angles, right? So I'm just going to take this one and I'll spin it this way. And you just kind of like puzzle it together. It's not always going to work and make sense, and you have to kind of mess with it a little bit. Like this one can pop up because there's a little bit of a sidewalk there, right? So it doesn't, when you look at it, it's like, oh, what a messy, crappy thing we've done here. But because it's from the real world, all these little imperfections, I believe, actually add to the scene quite a bit. Like, look at this. Look at this. That looks great, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not that picky. This is excellent. So let's just bring in a couple more props. This is like the general idea. I'm going to bring in the hydrant, the utility, the stop sign I haven't distributed yet. I'm going to give that to you. That's a regular 3D model. And let's grab this and like a fence. How about that? I haven't given all these things out yet. A lot of them we have, a lot of them we haven't. So with the fence, not that that's available yet. I should make that available soon. This is just a regular, I just modeled this by hand, though I might just go out and scan one that's similar. Now we have a fence. And I think the way I designed this is I can just grab this and this. Is that how this works? This one and this. There we go. Okay, so now I can just extend it like that. So we're just kit bashing. And the bigger our kits get, quote unquote, the ones that I make and give to you or the ones that you make yourself, now you just have this library and it's like, boom, we have a fence in there. That adds a lot of life to this whole scene, I think. Let's grab this quote unquote utility. I don't know what's in here. I just scanned it. But, you know, just having these quick details to be able to add to your scene, that's just going to help break up the repetitiveness. So maybe we just put it right on the sidewalk. I don't know. Like here? I think it was just on the sidewalk like this. Just weird, right? It's like, what is that? I don't know. But it adds a little bit of realism. And we'll put this over here like it's a bus stop. Right? We're going to put that there. And, you know, again, just to overstate this too many times, the photo scans are so much better than modeling it by hand. If you stick with all photo scans. As soon as you start mixing in like other CG models that are not scanned, then it starts to look a little bit funny sometimes, but it's all to eye. And look at that, that just sinks right in there. It's not perfect, like this is kind of like, you know, it's not the same resolution and whatnot, but when you're doing, you know, normal shots with a person, you'll never know, you'll never care. And I guess our last thing that we have here is what? Where are you? Oh, the stop sign. I don't have a workflow yet for you guys who are new to 3D-ish on how to put the lines on the road yet. I know how to do that using Substance Painter, but I haven't figured out how I'm gonna make it easy to just draw lines, because it's not that hard. You just put a white line here, white line there, and a line in the middle, parking spots. It's not difficult. I just got to figure out a way to make it easier for people who are not using 3D software like that. And the last thing we're gonna do is put this fire hydrant here. I don't know where fire hydrants go. You have to know your Department of Transportation, like what makes sense. This has some rocks under it, so it doesn't. Well, I guess it looks okay. You know, and in the spirit of kit bashing this stuff, aka just being sloppy with it, just screw it, like that, whatever. It's not perfect, but you know, now when we look back at this angle, that's a nice little scene that we got going on there. So I'm just gonna drop a person in there, and I'll show you the sky real quick, really easy. We're going to have a lot more stuff coming up soon. That's my first LiDAR scan. Didn't come out great, but I was learning. Here's another brick wall. There's going to be so many scans in here. It's going to be really fun to build stuff. And let's see. So here's my scans from other people. So we could bring in a car. We could bring in some naked people if we wanted. But really, I think what everyone's looking for in this scene is Matt Workman. I think that I should basically be in every single 3D scene that ever exists. I think that that's gonna have to happen. We're gonna have to be in every Pixar movie, every VFX Marvel movie coming on. I'm gonna have to donate this to be available for everyone. So there's me. This is a 3D scan of myself. At this point, I haven't made the video on how I did this. It's pretty easy, and I'll be sharing that soon. Let's just put a whole bunch of Matt Workmans. I actually can't instance it because I have a skeleton in there. It's not gonna work out. I'm not gonna pose myself, but let's just have me chilling here. Chilling out, and put you just at the stop sign, looking good. We're gonna go over here. Another Matt Workman. You're over there. This looks crazy. I always feel really weird using myself, but you know what? We're gonna be using this 3D model a whole lot because it's me, and I'm licensed to use myself. And here we are with our nice little scene here that we made really quickly from kit bashing using the scans from Set Designer. So scan, that's all scans. And the lovely part is even the texture on the floor is a scan. So this is all from the real world. Even me, I'm a scan. Stop sign's fake. So let's just do, let's finish this up here by showing you how to use the Redshift Sky and Sun. Really easy. We're going to turn off the dome like that. Turn it off so we can see the sky. And you'll see that there's no ground, so it's gray down there. It looks kind of weird. But if you look here, there's the sky. So it's kind of an odd thing to wrap your head around, but you need to just stay in your world and it'll be okay. As soon as you're out here, it's like, feels odd. And then you go in here. And now you're like, oh, this looks like absolute donkey balls. Like, what's going on here? A couple things have to happen. You need to make a Redshift camera here standard, or I suppose because this is Cine Designer, we could use one of those. So you need to have the Redshift Cine Designer assets, and we'll bring in an Alexa, and I'm just gonna, for brevity, let's just put it on this. So we have our Super Peewee. Yeah, we're just gonna drop this back in there. Where are you hanging out over there? And so now we have our camera, and it should be a Redshift camera, I believe. Oh no, I believe it is. Let's drag this over here really quickly, kind of approximate that shot we were doing. And this is where 2 monitors is helpful, but you know, we got the one. So let's open this up, and we're gonna look through here like that. Okie dokie. And so let's click on the Redshift tag. So we're kind of going over Redshift stuff. So for some people, you've never seen this before, that's fine. You got to turn on exposure, treat it like a film camera, 25 ISO. We're not trying to match the real world. We're just trying to get something that doesn't look horrendous. And it's going to look better in the end than this, I promise. So I'm going to grab this, and you may not be used to doing it this way, but I'm going to grab the top level here, and I'm going to start moving the camera. Well, not this way. I'd say this way. Yeah. Okay. So let's get a little bit of I guess this is fine. I kind of wanted to see some of the building like this. I feel like this is an okay. I mean, it's a terrible shot. I mean, there's nothing going on here. Let's see. And I'm going to grab this Matt Workman, this one right here, and you've now just become the subject of the scene, sort of. Where are you? You're going to come here. Yeah, I'm going to spin you around just so that we have something to look at. something pretty to look at. Wow, this got weird. And let's see here. So now I need to come down. I'm going to click on the peewee. And I'm going to just bring the camera down like this. There we go. So there's our shot. And we're using a Cinema 4D camera with a tag on it. That makes it a Redshift camera. We're going to click bokeh. Yes. So now things are out of focus. We're going to click on the camera, click focus distance, and then click on me. And now I'm in focus, and the background is not in focus. So it's looking better because of that. And the last thing we have to do, impromptu Redshift tutorial, we need to switch to Redshift, first of all. Then we need to go to Redshift, and I need to go to GI and turn it on, basically. Brute force, Irradiance point cloud. That's what I recommend in most cases. And there. Now it looks much, 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 much better because of the GI and because of the exposure and because of the depth of field. So to finally wrap this up, I feel like I've said this 100 times, we're just going to spin the sun around. And as you spin the sun changes and you're lighting your scene. So there's a little bit of backlight. It's just hitting me front in the face with the sun. And this is up to you, of course. I'm just going to try to pick an angle that shows off the set in like a nice way. Like I feel like this is, I like kind of this raking sun in the background on the wall. Like that. It's not the greatest for the talent. You know, talent would want to be lit like this, probably. That's kind of cool. This kind of has a cool feel. So there we go. So that wraps it up for this tutorial, I believe, here. And if it's the first time you've seen Redshift, I'm going to hit pause. Then this is how Redshift worked, and that's how fast it is. Oh, I guess I'll just pop off a render while we're here. Let's see. Just in case you've never seen Redshift before, I'll show you how fast this is. Let's just crank it. 1920, 1080. And those settings are fine. And really the only thing you ever change, other than advanced people, you change this to like 2048, which is high. That's really high. And I'm going to save it, and I'm going to render it. And I'll show you how fast this goes. So this wraps it up for this tutorial. This is how we use the scans. And I hope that you see what I see and that this is really incredible. I mean, using scans of buildings and sidewalks and objects and people and all that stuff together, you don't have to model anything, or I don't have to. You just throw it into a scene, really quick to assemble, and you just inherit so much realism so quickly. And I'm going to be building out the Set Designer scan database to be what I hope to be massive by the end. So you'll be able to build towns and interiors and all this stuff all based on scans. And it just makes it look so much more real than anything that I can create using Substance Painter by hand. And when we combine that with Redshift here, I'm rendering at 1080, really, really high samples, and that was 46 seconds. And I could do much lower samples for this scene because it's outside. And I'm very excited for the future of this. I've been rendering animations, it's so fast, for Instagram, and then scanning with LiDAR, photogrammetry, and all that. So I'm excited. I don't know if there's anything else to say here. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you have any questions specifically about Set Designer and using the scans or anything that I kind of flew over, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to do like a legit starting from scratch Redshift series, but if you just kind of mimicked what I just did there, you're going to be completely fine. And hopefully you guys have the computers to run Redshift. If you don't, I'd start thinking about it because I don't see this stuff running on an Apple computer. I guess you can do it with eGPUs, but it's much better on the PC. But whatever. If you're using Mac, that's cool too. I will always support that. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Until the next one, I'll see you guys later. Bye.